guys, I have a video from P2B when he was asked a question during the time of democracy, I think May 29th, yes, where P2B came out and was saying some nice speech, and I'll love you guys to take a listen and then tell me if this man does not understand what it means to be democratic or not, and tell me if this man is not the best candidate for Nigerians. Take a listen for yourself and get your views in the comment section, guys.
Are we truly democratic? Unexamined life is not worth living. You must at any step try to examine what we are doing. After 25 years of experimenting and trying to be a democratic country, it is now time to ask questions. Are we truly democratic? And you start by defining what it's supposed to be. Democracy is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, for the people. So the fundamental question, is this government of the people? Is it by the people? And is it for the people? Beneath this is supposed to be a benefit for the people, which is not there today. Absence of which have led to leadership failure over the years that brought massive corruption, hunger, sufferings, all sorts of pain, insecurity, everything. So the opposite is what we've experienced. What we should actually be celebrating is a some sort of state capture, where those who have captured it have cornered all the benefits that are meant for the people. All the people are supposed to see in terms of good education, good health, and pulling them out of poverty have been cornered by the few that have captured the system. And they continue at the suffering and expense of all. And the list is endless. You can go there and see the measure of democracy. We are 4.23, which shows we're low. You look at the hunger index, we're 109 over 124 countries measured, which shows we're low. You look at corruption index, we're 145 over 180 countries, which shows we're low. You look at the law and order, which is supposed to be an intangible asset that drives democracy. We're very low. We're 120 over countries measured. So you could see we're low in every facet. If you compare even the electioneering process that brings our leaders into office, again, we're very low. Let's just take the recent 3 elections in comparable countries of South Africa, India, Mexico. In all these 3 countries, first is that over 60% of registered voters participated in voting. Polling booths opened, over 80% opened on time and closed on time without incidents, no ballot snatching, no this and everything. And results were transmitted electronically without any hitches, no glitches, nothing.
Well, there was a slight hitch in the South African transmission, but not to the degree.
No, it didn't affect the result because every party accepted it. It was a very minor thing. I watched it sitting down in my own sitting room from beginning to the end. India, that was supposed to have over, the people that voted in India are 3 times the Nigerian population. Yet you could see it. The election was accepted. In our own case, less than 25% of the voters participated.
And indeed, those who came out, many of them were prevented from
Thank you. At the polling booths, did not open on time, closed late, closed early, with all sorts of fraud and everything. And when you think about it, in these countries that I mentioned, these were carried out by ordinary citizens. In our own case, despite all this fraud, glitches, everything, it was being executed by professors. So there must be something we need to re-examine and ask ourselves question, how do we get it right? For our children, for the future generation, we can't continue on this path.
So how do we get it right?
By doing it rightly. The government can stamp and said, I recall late President Yaradua, who's admitted that the process that brought him to office is faulty. And he was bent on changing it and putting the right steps to do that.
So do you think
which was followed up by Jonathan,
right,
and participated in an election where for the first time the ruling party and the president lost the election. Just like you can see in the way I've just told you, the ANC in South Africa had a reduced position. In India, the same thing happened. They accepted it.
So do you think that the reason for this problem that you've identified is politicians in power consciously refusing to give those institutions the latitude to operate?
Exactly. And making sure it happened. Institutions must be respected by those in office. They must make sure for the future of the society, for the future of our children, a leader or those who are in leadership must do things rightly.
So in that regard, when you look at the highest office in this country, an office that you aspire to, what do you see? Do you see an individual that respects or does not respect the rule of law, and who, through his actions and those of his deputies and possibly ruling party, supports or does not support the fabric of this country's democracy?
Charles, I live this, you can ask ordinary Nigerians.
Well, I'm asking you.
I don't think they do. No. They don't. That's why it's happening. If they do, it won't happen.
You do recognize, though, that a lot of the people who are in power have inherited decades of rot, and you can't wave a magic wand and all that rot will disappear.
Charles, I don't like discussing this today. No matter where you start, if you mean well, you can start correcting them. The role of a leader is not to remind people of the past or mention the past or think about the past. Your role is to show the path by doing things that are right. Change starts from you. By you, if you decide to walk the right path, that's how it starts. You can decide, okay, yesterday it was wrong. That's even part of why we hired you. Because it was wrong yesterday, we didn't hire you to remind us or start giving us the excuse, but to show the solution and how best to do it. That is leadership.
So in that respect, after 25 years of unbroken democracy, which Nigeria is marking this week, are we walking on the edge of a razor blade, as someone put it? Are you pessimistic or optimistic?
Very, very pessimistic. We're actually walking in the right direction.
In the right direction?
In the wrong direction.
In the wrong direction.
We're actually walking in the wrong direction.
Right.
Very wrong direction. And we need to change it and walk in the right direction. And it has to start from the number one person.
Well, let's assess that walking in the right direction or wrong direction and that number one person. Let's turn to President Tinubu's first year anniversary. After 1 year in office, do you think he has displayed the strength and the ability to tackle Nigeria's many problems? Are you impressed with mega projects, for example, like the Lagos-Calabar Highway?
Well, you know, I've never made comment about 1 year in office. The reason why is simple. I would say that President Tinubu have kept to his campaign promises. Throughout the campaign, he consistently maintained that he will continue from where Buhari stopped. And that is done very well. I would say excellent. I'll give him excellent pass mark. And it's very simple. It's chance. Dollar was 460, is now 1,005. Fuel was 238, is now about 700. Diesel was 844, is now 1,415. A bag of rice is 35,000, is now about 80. A bag of beans was similar, 35, is now about 90. Gari was 27.28, is now 49.50. A tuber of yam was about 2,007 to 3,000, now is about 10,000. Tomato basket is about 40,000, that is over 150,000. Electricity is 66 kilowatts, is now over 200. You can go on and on. Our debts, even bread, which is a basic thing other countries that subside, like Egypt, bread, smaller, medium bread was 450 naira. It's not 900 naira. The big one is 900, is 1,005. Our debt, like I mentioned, was 87. By end of last year, it was actually 97. The highest we've done within that short period. Now is over 100 trillion. In fact, this year alone, the government, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, have issued and taken from the system borrowing of over 16 trillion naira. You can imagine the interest at almost 20%. It's about 3.2 trillion after 12 months. At that, last year, in a period of 9 months, we spent about 5.7 trillion servicing as debt interest on our payments. So add that. So overall, you've done well. Let's even go back to the overall of the economy. By the time he took over last year, we were still the biggest economy in Africa with $477 billion as our GDP, followed by South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, and Morocco. Today, we are number 4. South Africa is number 1 now, I think about $373 billion. Egypt is second, $347 billion, followed by Algeria, 266. And we are now 252 billion GDP economy. It's even worse when you go to our per capita. We are actually 1/4 of per capita of the list of these nations that I mentioned. South Africa is over 6,000 per capita. Egypt is 4,000 plus. So is Algeria. And then Morocco, which among this is supposed to be the 5th, at 4,210, and we are 1,000 plus. So we actually gone low. We're coming from a low of per capita of 3,000 plus in 2014. So with every other thing have headed south. You see, insecurity is worsened.
Well, let's
corruption has worsened.
Right. Let's
adherence to the rule of law has worsened. The country has been nepotism is at the highest.
Let's look at one issue that you mentioned, and you came up with quite voluble statistics there, and that is the issue of the economy. The president, in the clip we played earlier, before our interview began, made it clear that he was aware of the fact that there would be pain before gain. I mean, if you look at every economy from Argentina to all the ones that have tried to reform their economies, there's always a bit of pain before the gain comes. That comes with putting in reforms, fundamental reforms that would eventually lead to an improvement in the economy. What I'm curious to know is, if you had become president, how difficult would it have been to govern in the current environment? Because you would have inherited essentially what President Buhari left for you to inherit. Because some have argued that whoever took over from President Buhari would have inherited a country that would have been very difficult to fix, with so much borrowing and debt and corruption and the fall in, you know, the currency and all the rest of it. Yes, you could argue that the government, that was part of what they said were their reforms. But in other words, you would not have been able to turn things around and deliver in 1 year.
Charles, the first thing you do as a leader who inherited a difficult situation is to lead by example.
True is that the fact that 29 May in Nigeria, nothing happened. Nobody rejoiced. Nobody was happy about May 29th. A whole democracy day in Nigeria that before we know how we normally celebrate it. No more, because democracy is gone in Nigeria, as Butobi said. Where can which country practice democracy and then the government are the one that dictates what they should be doing? In which country does the government dictate on who should lead the people? In which country do the government dictate what people should say and what they should not say? Because now it's as if talking or criticizing the government is a crime. It's now as if saying how you feel about the government is a crime, because they will come for you. Yes, go to prison now. You will see some TikTokers that have been arrested because they came out and said how they felt. And this is the reason why people are no longer speaking up. That means they're trying to shut everybody up to allow them lead the way they want to lead, which is normal democracy. But let me go to your views in the comment section, and I'll be guys in my next video.